All right, folks. So this is my first watermelon cutting video. You're saying, "Wait, are you kidding me? You're making a watermelon cutting video?" And the answer is yes. So I have a huge watermelon here. How big, as far as pounds, I don't know. I have no idea. I just buy them because they're big and they have the right color and they seem to have the right resonance. You asked how to pick a watermelon. You ask 8 different people that question, you're going to get 8 different answers. Here's what I do. First and foremost, I go by color. Darker, the better. Okay, so I go by a dark color, and then I tap it. And what you just want something is you want like a sort of a very hollow sound, but something that resonates well. You don't want a very tight, high-pitched sound. You want to go lower the better. Now, that can backfire on you, which is why it's not a perfect method. Some people look for bee stings, where if there's a place where there's some scarring and there's some evidence where bees have stung into the watermelon and they believe that the juices seep out. I don't even know if that's true or not, but that's something that you can look for as well. Again, all these methods have failed me, including the color one, but I think the color is the most consistent one. Color and resonance are the two that I use the most. Where to get them? Costco's the best place during the summer, unless you can find a sale. Sprouts is good sometimes. Albertsons, Stater Brothers, even Target. Even Target had a good sale recently. So now, what I was doing here is I was taking a wet paper towel and I wipe around the center of the watermelon here. Okay, so I wipe along where I'm going to cut, just because there could be bacteria in the watermelon. So I go ahead and that's the kind of where it rests, because it's kind of a sphere. And so then I just stab into the watermelon with a knife. Okay, I'm trying to make sure you can see this here. So as I just stab in, and then I just go around the watermelon. And you'll forgive me, I'm not right next to the camera, so I can't make adjustments. And I don't trust any of either my daughters to help me, because they'll probably fail me. So, no, I'll be quiet. So, cut it open. This one looks like a good one. You're looking for, as much as you can, a solid texture. Where these circles are, sometimes a little softer. This feels a little iffy, but I won't know for sure until I actually get it all cut.
Was it raining like stuffed animals in the...
I think it was, yeah. I think it was. So, it's okay. It's okay. It's not for anything. It's not live. All right. So, and then what I do is I like to cut around the watermelon. Now, there it goes. There's container one. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. Put it back. So, what we do is we cut around the outside. Now, you're going to look and go, wow, you're chopping off a lot of watermelon. No, I'm not. No one wants that anyway. I mean, I have a friend who does like that part of the watermelon, and I feel bad for her. But aside from that, you just go around. And again, don't freak out about how much it looks like I'm cutting off. No one wants that. That's the part of the watermelon that most people don't want. Seriously, I can cut into this, and I can taste it. I can tell you it's not going to be good. Watch. Very rindy.
Could you give me one side?
Even though the texture is nice there, it's very rindy. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have the nice flavor you get deeper down in the watermelon. So don't be a slave to that. You can choose to cut a little more careful, but you notice as the closer you go, the more white you get. You don't want that. That's not something that you should really be serving your friends and family. Seriously. And I just go around. I'm not using a serrated knife. I'm using a sharp knife. Okay. I use a chef's knife for darn near everything. Just go around. Slice into that. And those of you who know how to do stuff, please don't criticize my knife technique. I know I'm sawing. You're really not supposed to saw with these knives. You just slice. But bad habits die hard, right? All right, so then you end up with what I like to call the watermelon brick, okay? And what you do on this is you slice down the center, tip one out, do it up like this. I'm going to try to make sure that what I'm doing is in view. It's going to be a little tough to do. Let me see if I can shift it around. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll cut here, here, and I'm looking at these are about an inch. Give or take. At the very back, if I don't have enough or I have extra, I'll leave that little slim part off. Sometimes I slice that up and just eat it as I'm cutting it. Here, about 1 inch. So you're getting approximate cubes. Don't have to be perfect. I'll take the edges off, slim that, drop that in the container. Take the edges off here, slim that, drop that into the container. Now, this is where I get a little creative here. I like to have as many actual cubical pieces as possible. So what I do is I go ahead and I slice across toward my hand, which you're never supposed to do. Okay, so that's careful. And this is a sharp knife, so you have to be really careful. Slip that off the knife. If you tilt those, sometimes you can mess around with the profile and get it cleaner. Sometimes it's really hard to do. So if these sizes are pretty adequate, I'm going to let them go. But I do like to cut across there because then I'm going to get a nicer cubes. Now here, if you can look at that here, you see how that's not exactly squared up. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and I like to trim off the edges so that when the result, they're more squared up. Okay? And that does leave some smaller pieces in the end, but you're going to have small pieces no matter what you do. And I continue to kind of square up my edges so I can have as many pieces that are more cubes or at least rectangular prisms versus watermelon prisms. Now, with the bottom sections, what I do is I take off each one and I tilt them and I just slice them once across. I typically eat the one closest to me of the bottom because that's going to be near this, if my geometry is correct, it's near the center of the watermelon. And yeah, that was good. Those are good tasting. So I tend to take those portions for myself. Now, what I said about the texture on this one was true. It's not quite where I want in the center. It's a little mealy. The flavor's on point, but the texture isn't quite right there. Now, when it's cold, it will taste better, and it will somehow magically it feels better. All right. Nice sized little chunks. Okay, as much as possible. All right. So. All right, so that's how you get. That's how I do. That's how I cut it. I usually do about 3 of these disposable Glad containers. I'm cheap, so I use the disposable Glad containers as if they are reusable containers. Goes over there. Switch this. Shift these down. I'll cut this twice because that one's a little bigger. And then here, I jumped ahead of myself, didn't I? If I forgot to cut across, we'll take this off there, slice that. I'll tilt these, cut these across toward my hand, which you're never supposed to do. That looks good. This is about full. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to trim these down a little bit. Well, again, I know that this is kind of sorty getting on camera. Watermelon's in the way, but yeah, I don't have a very large counter to work from, and I don't have a camera person, so I'm doing it Obi-Wan solo. Drop this in, and again, the taste on this watermelon is quite delicious. It's just texture. Piece right there was ridiculous. Almost changed my life. My daughter's off camera, trying to do sign language and stuff to me. I have no idea what she's talking about. I think she wants me to pause the video, but it's not gonna happen. Alright, so that's basically how I do watermelon. Hope that helps someone. Have a good summer.